Hello, and welcome to Aspiring Creator, where we are working towards fixing some of the technical issues we've had previously. So we are now shooting in 1080p because I think that frame rate matches. And if you are watching this on YouTube, it should be a bit smoother, I think. Essentially, I'm running this through like an A10 mini switcher, which then only runs at 1080p, where I was trying to shoot in 4K before, and lots of mess. But hopefully this should be better. Hopefully the audio might be a bit better as well. I've done like firmware updates on everything. So we shall see how this week goes. Starting off with this week, I'm not very well. I've had a cold all week, which in the middle of Apple season is not fun. You might be able to see my eyes are a bit bloodshot. I'm on a lot of drugs right now, and I'm trying to get through things. So this will be quite a short one. There's been a fair few things to go through, but they're not very long things to talk about. Also, thank you so much for everyone who has reached out or left comments on the previous videos and podcasts, and those who have reached out privately as well. Really, really awesome. Like, this is exactly why I want to do this, because it starts those conversations and like hopefully helps other people out with whatever else is going on in their like YouTube lives and everything. So being sick, might as well start off with that one. Is always interesting. We were trying to get through, we're shooting a laptop review video this week, so I managed to get through the A-roll. That's like a huge effort, trying to get through the A-roll when you're like in the middle of crying because like just everything was running. And then shooting B-roll, trying to just get through the B-roll clips, and very, very useful having someone else help you shoot the video clips, because you can kind of sit there and just like stare into the distance, and then get the angles where your face isn't in it and you don't look like you're ill and on death's door. So that's very, very useful to have like an extra person to be able to do that for you. We are very much in the middle of iPhone season, recording this on the Thursday. So we are going tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're going to the Apple store to pick up the iPhones and collection of Apple products. And this is the thing, like I'm going to touch on this in a minute. We don't work with Apple. So every launch we are doing, we have to go and, buy all the stuff. So we've literally bought, I'm trying to think. I bought 2 of the Apple Watch Series 11s, an Apple Watch SE Series 3, the AirPods Pros Generation 3s. I bought like an iPhone 17 Pro Max and a 17 Pro in orange, of course, because that's the best color. An iPhone Air. I bought an regular iPhone. I think that's everything. But like we bought everything, and this is like the we spent $5 or $6 grand on products, but these $5 or $6 grand we're spending will then help us with the videos we're then creating throughout the next year as people are interested in things. And we're not rushing to get the videos out, because obviously everyone's already got their videos out. All the people that are working with Apple have had their review devices, and they've done the whole like 1 week later reviews and those kind of things. And I find a lot of them don't have any like actual sustenance to them. There's no like long term, here's actually what the battery life has been like, and those kind of things. And those that have done battery tests, it's very difficult to do proper real-life battery tests, because, I mean, how many of the reviewers actually moved their SIM to an eSIM in the iPhone Air to test the battery life with the Air? And how many actually moved going between data and Wi-Fi, and rather than just literally having them all on the table, all connected to Wi-Fi, doing battery tests of like, hey, here's how long it lasted playing Genshin Impact for like 30 hours. It's like totally unrealistic. So yeah, bought all the devices. We will be working on our reviews as the weeks and months roll by. I'm planning on doing like an iPhone 17 base model review at some point, similar with the Air, see how that actually survives and lives day to day. My initial impression and thoughts are, I'm not going to cover the 17 because I just feel like it is technically inferior in every technical way to all the other iPhones. So it seems pointless covering it. But then it is this, the unique thing this year. So maybe we will cover the iPhone Air at some point. So yeah, we're going to buy everything. I've worked with the Apple store, my local Apple store, for quite a few years now. Even before I was doing the YouTube stuff, I was buying stuff through the business, my IT business. So they kind of got to know me through there, got to know the business team. And so they are used to, they know what I do. And in a few situations, I have returned things and been like, cool, yeah, another YouTube video. Yeah, another YouTube video. Cool, take it back. And no like issues. There's no like, there's a whole like stigma against like returning things. But I always feel that, particularly with Apple, if you're buying something to then make videos that essentially sells Apple iPhones, and similar with any other products really, like Android phones, like products you're buying to then make a video of, I don't really feel that bad in returning it, because you're buying it to then make some marketing material for them. So that's kind of my take on it. I know there's obviously the whole like, but you're wasting stuff. Most of the time they just repackage it up and sell it off as refurbished and things anyway. But those are my thoughts, and I know people have other thoughts and opinions about buying and returning stuff. But absolutely, when you're starting out, like for sure, buy and return, because you don't have the money to go and do that a lot of the time. As we're getting to our level now, I'm getting to the stage, and actually where I've hung out with a lot of other creators, where I've kind of taken the stance of, well, let's buy the stuff, and in some cases buy like more and extras of the stuff, because if we are needing to shoot extra B-roll, or I'm not around and I'm on a press trip, but we need to get extra B-roll footage of an Apple product, well, now we have like a second Apple product here in the studio. So, my daily driver will be probably the iPhone 17 Pro, but we'll have an Air, we'll have a 17 here, so we'll have like spare devices if we need to do some more like screenshots and screen recordings and like top-down stuff. So there'll be plenty of stuff going on. So yeah, going there 8 o'clock tomorrow morning to pick everything up, and then we're going to take them straight back to the studio. And I've already scripted the video for the Apple Watch buyer's guide, which we could technically shoot now and like just use screen recordings and website recordings and the announcement like video kind of live stream. We could probably use that to piece it together, but I always feel like it's better doing it with the actual devices. So following on from that, I was literally I had my father-in-law around, and we were just explaining how like Apple doesn't work with us. We're too small, and we don't do anything with Apple. And then literally like about 10 minutes later, I had an email hit my inbox from Apple saying, "What are you doing next week? We'd like to invite you to a briefing." So it is very, very early days. They haven't actually. I've chased a few times. They haven't actually sent the invite to the briefing yet. But we're going to be interesting to see how that works, because it's going to be my first ever briefing with Apple ever on any product. And it's with the iPhone team, or iPhone and iOS team. So we're going to see, hopefully that leads to good things, and maybe invites or access, or it'd be great to be involved in the whole Apple thing. I'm like considering the amount of money I spent on Apple products, the amount of video topics we've covered on various Apple devices and buyer's guides and reviews and top tips and things. I get more access with Samsung and OnePlus, and inviting on their press trips and early access and review devices than I do with the Apple side of things. But I know there's the whole like, well, if you say like ever so slightly the wrong thing, then Apple will scrub you off their marketing things. So I don't know. We'll find out. See where that leads to. And I'm not going to stop talking about how much I like the Samsung stuff and the Pixel stuff. But I know other people do very much. I know there's one person I'm chatting to who told me like last week that he's very careful and considerate about what else he posts, because he doesn't want Apple to see that and then get scrubbed from their list. So yeah, I that's not me. But I would love, it's one of those wish list things, or like what's the bucket list, to be invited to a WWDC or the iPhone launch event would be pretty cool. Next on my list, chaptering videos. Had a bit of a discussion about this. We have decided to stop chaptering our videos for now, I believe. And we're seeing better video retention, because people are, rather than skipping through the videos, they're actually sticking around and finding out what happens next. And so our retention has gone up, and I believe we are then seeing better video performance. It's really difficult to really know, because it's time of year, Apple season. Views on the channel are generally up because Apple season and Q4, and advertisers are paying more, so the money's going up, and it's very difficult to pick a particular thing and go, oh, we did this and this happened, because there's so many other factors going on at the same time. So yeah, we have looked back at our previous chapter videos, and obviously you see the peaks where people are jumping to the chapters to find the bits they want. But then overall, the video's retention, the average view duration and view percentage was below what we're getting with the newer videos, which do not have chapters in them. And anyway, like Google will, use AI to kind of automatically chapter your videos. It doesn't actually show it on YouTube, but if someone does a YouTube search, then it's going to come up within the YouTube search, and like finding the answer to your question you're asking in Google search. We're smashing through this week. This is going to be a very short one. The next topic was buying of views. And so this was a follow-on topic from my last week's, where I touched on a brand that was like buying like millions of views. Funnily enough, I saw, was it Quinn from Snazzy Labs tweeted either yesterday or today or whenever it was. And he picked up a, what was it? I think it was like a spinning bike posted by Unbox Therapy. It was a video review or whatever you call it by Unbox Therapy, which had like 1.8 million views. And he basically posted a comment saying like, "Oh, I never knew so many people were interested in a spinning bike. I didn't realize it's trending now." And there's just a lot of comments underneath it. They're going like, "Yeah, obviously it's not trending. They're bot views. They're bought views." I posted a comment on the back of it just saying like, "Oh, it's funny how him and John Ressinger seem to be posting about trending tech all the time. Maybe they're onto something we're not." But yeah, just that whole like buying views from not my experience, but from what I have heard from other people who have had bought views on their channels. There was one guy in particular that said that a brand bought views on his videos recently. Without his permission, they just kind of slammed like hundreds of thousands of views into a video, and it absolutely tanked his organic views on his following videos. And it was like the next 4, 5, 6 videos all absolutely tanked. They were like 10 out of 10s because, and this is like one of the issues, like no matter how you, and this is whether you're buying the fake views or whether you're buying it properly through YouTube's, promotion feature, is that look at the data that's coming through. So when you're promoting your video through YouTube, you will find that you'll get subscribers. But if you go onto the video that you're promoting, those subscribers, for the majority part, are not coming from that video you're promoting, which means they must be coming from like your channel page, for example. But then as you carry on posting videos, you're not seeing any additional views or subscribers. Like, you turn off the promote feature and it just flatlines again. And so there was a guy called Ace Lucero Tech, who for like, I don't know, best part of a year or a good few months or so, just basically grew his channel to 100,000 subscribers just from like hitting that promote button. And he was very overly confident about it and being like, no, I know what I'm doing. We know I'm using all the features YouTube have given me to grow my channel. And then like you're at 100,000 subscribers and yet your videos are only getting like 5 views still. And like fully like completely under the belief that those people that he was promoting to were like real people and they were really subscribing. They really wanted to watch his videos, but then didn't watch his videos. And this is the whole problem with like YouTube's kind of default stance being, well, hey, if you just pay us money, then your video will get more views and you'll reach a wider audience. I think I saw one of the YouTube coaches saying that in like India or like somewhere like Asian kind of countries, they have this thing called hyper subscribe, which is where they just subscribe to everyone and everything because that's just the culture or something. I'm not too sure exactly, but that might explain why it's very, very quick and easy to grow your subscribers when targeting those regions, but you don't actually get any views out of it because they just subscribe and don't actually ever watch again. And so there's this whole thing. So whether you are buying them with dodgy online bot services or whether you're buying official organic promotion viewers and subscribers, it just doesn't seem to work unless you literally are willing to commit to doing that on every single video, because every video will get guaranteed banger of 500,000 views as long as you guaranteed banger pay for the next 500,000 view video and keep rolling it. The problem is that it works and it's working to the point where brands go, oh, look, they're getting 500,000 views, we'll pay them a lot of money for 500,000 views. And so you just fall into this trap of having to do that on almost every video. And there's been quite a few other YouTubers and channels, and we've mentioned it quite a few times before on this podcast, but like people that are, starting from 0 and getting to 100,000 subscribers just so they can check that box of like, I've got 100,000 subs, now brands come and work with me. And so it's a slippery slope, but it is very frustrating when I see those people that have done that then get invited to like press trips and Apple campuses. There's quite a few of them that get invited to like these Apple trips just because they have the contacts and they've just like paid to grow their channel so they can fit into that kind of thing of like, oh, now I'm allowed to be invited to these things because I'm at the level. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that discussion at that. But my general overarching opinion on buying views is don't buy views. It doesn't matter what you're doing it for, how many views you're buying. By all means, test it out on 1 or 2 and just put a few £100 in, just see what it does. But my own experience, and we've done that, the odd video we've tried it and just seeing what it does and where the subscribers come from, and just the numbers don't add up. Subscribers grow out of nowhere. They don't actually subscribe from the video you're promoting, which is the weirdest thing. And they don't then stick around to watch longer, any other videos you post. So very, very bad. And again, it tanks your then organic reach on your future videos you're posting. So if you boost one video and get like, I don't know, a couple of 100,000 views on one video, the next few videos you post, like YouTube is not going to know what to do with it because you're not boosting the views. It doesn't know who your organic audience is anymore because you've had 200,000 fake views come in that, go and watch 5 seconds of your video and then click away. So it just doesn't know what to do anymore. So that's like what happens there. Okay, we found an accountant. I ranted for a long time last week about accountants and the fact we haven't got our accounts. So we've got our 2 accounts now. I've had to chase them once more to actually get them submitted because I had another reminder through that they weren't submitted, even though I paid my corporation tax already, so I've actually submitted them. Hopefully, I'll wait and see if an email comes out to tell me that I still haven't submitted them or not. I'm now waiting for them to close down one of my businesses, because that's the other thing they said would happen. And honestly, like, I'm still paying for subscriptions because I've said, like, oh, can I cancel my Zero, and can I cancel this? It's like, well, I need to carry on paying Zero, my like monthly fee, until they close the business down, because they need to use the Zero data to, you know, close the business. So it's one of these things of like, just the quicker they close it down, the less expensive it is for me. So I spoke to 2 accountants. I have, I believe, chosen to go with the more affordable accountants. The 2 options were like, one was going to be literally half the price of the other. And for me, like the one that was more expensive included like a load more stuff. It was like, no, you get monthly Loom videos about like looking over your accounts and advising on this and that, and like all this extra attention, where I don't recall a time ever needing that extra attention on any of my businesses. I just need, you know, my VAT return filed, my tax returns, corporation tax, my personal tax returns. Like, I just need the basics done and make sure they're done on time. And maybe there's like an extra call here and there just to say like, hey, end of year's coming up. How do I reduce my tax? You know, what can I spend some money or make pension payments? So that's, I believe, what I've gone for. We will see what that actually turns into. And this guy in particular is, I'm just paying him like, I pay him a monthly fee for like the bookkeeping and the small little bits. But the major things like the annual tax returns and those kind of things, it's a one-off. So I just pay for it when it's done. I'm not paying in advance. And that was the other thing with this big accountants firm, that the one that was like double the amount, I would also have to then pay like an extra £1,500, because where they've split it down to a monthly payment, well, we're like halfway through the financial year now, so I almost need to pay in advance to kind of catch up to when they do my like financial year accounts, and then I've kind of covered myself. So yeah, it was just a bit messy, and the more affordable way is just to go with the cheaper option, with the guy that's like actually in the creator economy day to day. He's attending events, like he's an agency, so he works with other YouTube creators, so he like knows the industry inside and out. And he was even talking to me about, oh, you know, when you've got we've got an agent that looks after us now doing our brand deals, make sure when they're invoicing, make sure they're invoicing with their percentage discounted. So they're invoicing for the full amount, and so they can attribute and then track the cost of having an agent, essentially. So we're tracking like that cost of the service they're providing. So yeah, really useful stuff. Onto that, negatives of an agency. It's only been like a few days at this stage. Like, this is the first week we've been with the agents. They're still setting up some of like the Monday boards so we can see into things. But just like very, very early impressions. It's been fine so far. I've been chatting back and forth with them on WhatsApp and email. The one thing that I've noticed is that we get like a brand deal opportunity to come in. I send it on to them, and then like I lose visibility of it at that point. Whereas, you know, in my our previous role where we were doing it ourselves, we would know what's going on. We know whether the brand's replied. We know if we need to reply. We know like the chances of that actually turning into something. And where we don't have that, we kind of sat back and going like, oh, what's happening? Have you replied to that? Do we need to reply? Like, do we need to remind you to reply? And so I sent the agent a message this morning, like, is there any, like, can we have visibility of any form of like who you're pitching and what stage you are and where things are going? I think a lot of the time when they're pitching, they're actually pitching through like, is it like WeChat and those? Because like the Chinese brands just all do like everything via like instant messaging and WhatsApp and WeChat and that kind of stuff that we obviously don't have access to or visibility of. So they're going to see if they can set something up, or maybe like when they do emails, they'll copy us in on the emails, something along those lines, just to try and help us out with things. Next one, smashing through them this week. Can you tell, Emil? The desktop views being down. So this is a thing I think I touched on last week, and there's been a lot more, loads of channels have started covering this. There's been a load more information. And there's a guy called Spiffing Brit that basically posted a video saying, it's the same video everyone makes this time every year when people go back to school and college and go back to work and come off of summer holidays. Views are generally down because less people are watching videos. And that's like fundamentally what happens. However, there's subsequently been more videos from other people, and it has supposedly been tracked down to being an ad blocker. And there was a particular update that this ad blocker made on the particular date that the views suddenly dropped on YouTube. And whatever they did with the ad blocker meant that it wasn't them registering as a view on YouTube. And so like the revenue was still the same, the like ratio was still the same, or the number of likes was still the same, but the percentage went up because, you know, technically those people were still actually watching the videos and liking it, but the view just wasn't registering. And so what's now happened is that I've been told that ad blocker system or back-end database or something has made a change, so the view now does count, and so things are going to start leveling themselves out again. But yeah, if you had a big desktop audience and you're wondering why your views are massively down, because it's basically anyone running a desktop ad blocker that then was affected and their views weren't counting. So that is just worth touching on. We didn't really notice much of a difference. I think lots of our audience are either mobile or TV. Honestly, we didn't really pay that close attention to our stats in terms of like desktop views, because just iPhone season, everything is generally up anyway. But maybe for the bigger, more established channels that have like, millions of views all the time, then maybe it's a bit more noticeable, but not for us. And then last one for this week. We're on 20 minutes, not doing too bad. The last one is just touching on ABC testing with the thumbnails and the titles. And just I was having a chat with somebody and just thought I'd put my thoughts out in terms of how we deal with it or what we've seen. And generally speaking, so we did a iPhone buyer's guide. We had 3 different thumbnails with basically the 3 different iPhones, the Pro, the Air, and the base one with 3 different colors and 2 or 3 slightly different titles. And so those all went out and started A/B testing and, finding the best combination and what have you. But as soon as I saw the thumbnail on my grid on my, my homepage, I was like, well, obviously the orange one is the best thumbnail. And then I think what happened is a few maybe hours later, the thumbnail test finished, and as soon as it picked the orange one as the best performing one, and as soon as that kind of finished, then the video started actually picking up some traction. And so I think this is still the same opinion I had with the thumbnail A/B testing before, where I read a while ago, it's actually to a certain extent more damaging than it is helping, because if you're confident that you've got a good thumbnail and title, why would you want to muddy the water with like a second option when if you just went with that first option, it would have performed like absolutely fine? Because all that's happening is now there's a second option out there. YouTube splitting your views with these 2 options. And then it's not like you're confusing YouTube with who to send your video to, because you've got these now 2 split audiences, or even 3 if you're split testing 3, where it has to wait until the A/B test is finished for it to then go, okay, this is the winner, and now the video can take off because it knows who's it's serving to. And so you have to be very sure about why you're A/B testing. Maybe if you've got some ever so slight tiny little variants, like you're adding arrows in some of them, or you're changing a word in the title, like very, very small variants which can have a tiny difference or maybe a big difference. I mean, this is the whole thing with A/B testing. But generally speaking, if you are confident that you've got a good thumbnail and a good title and you think it's going to work, then I would say let's go with that. Go with that instead. And then if it doesn't perform, we're currently having a discussion about our buyer's guide right now, because our buyer's guide is underperforming. But then we are the day before the launch. Everyone has already pre-ordered. Our existing subscribers aren't going to want to watch a buyer's guide right now. But it is very much one of these videos that is a long tail, evergreen. Maybe in a few days it will pick up. It will certainly pick up traction, and it is picking up traction, just very, very slowly. And so we're looking back at the last year's video and how quickly did that pick up, and whether it hits your kind of casual audience or is it just new viewers. And so there's that whole look at the when you're comparing your video performance, look at how did it compare to the last year's version, or how did it compare to your expectations, I guess. Because my expectations with this video is very much it's going to be a back burner, just almost ignore it and just let it do its thing and see what happens. But yeah, as far as ABC testing goes, most people probably wouldn't say don't use it, because I just think if you've got a good title thumbnail format, then it's going to perform better overall. And that is it for this week. I'm going to leave it there. 23 minutes when I'm not feeling well isn't too bad. Thank you so much for watching. Again, leave reviews on the podcast. Head over to YouTube. Leave some comments down below the video if you want to. But yeah, please review us on whatever podcast platforms. Subscribe to the newsletter. People didn't know I had a newsletter. It is called experimentsinprogress.com. So subscribe to that. It's twice a week. I send out back behind the scenes stuff and what I'm testing and other random guides and tidbits and things like that. So do that, and I will see you in the next video. Next week, I'm going to be in... Where am I going to be next week? I'm in Munich with a brand with Xiaomi, because by the time you're hearing this, I'll be out there. So I'm with Xiaomi in Munich, and the next episode will come from there in my hotel room, probably. See you then. Cheers.